I think everybody knows about Mercury retrograde now. I mean, I was going to a store a couple weeks ago, and this clerk just said, Mercury must be retrograde. So I think that people are waking up to it. I don't know. It's just like, before I don't think anybody knew about it, but I think that everybody talks about it. But what does it really mean? You know, and so what I would like to talk about a little bit is who the being of Mercury and what Mercury does and what retrograde actually means. And Mercury's all about communication. And as we know, let's talk a little bit about astrology again. We'll talk about the planets and everything like that. And each of the planets have their quality. And in our solar system, and in our particular heliosphere, we have Mercury, we have Venus, we have the Earth, we have Mars. Let's see, each of them. Usually Mercury's the way you communicate. Venus is what your value system is. It's what you appreciate. Earth is where we are demonstrating how we live these qualities in the 3D world. We have Mars. This is where we initiate our, like, a lot of people think of Mars as the planet of war, but actually it's where, in esoteric astrology, it's where we initiate our soul's mission. It's where we take action on that, or we take actions to whatever mission that we're on. Then we have Jupiter. Jupiter is what our belief system is, what we're becoming, or what we're creating as a belief. It's our truth. It has to do with our truth. Saturn is where it's our hard teacher. It's where we learn most about ourselves through other people. We have the hardest teacher, like in the school, and we really dislike that person, but we find out that all our life we've learned so much from that person. Well, that's us. That's really, that hard teacher is what we are to ourselves, actually. Because you're going to take everything and turn it inward. Then we have Uranus. Uranus is where our maverick is. It's where our unique qualities are. It's where we shake up the basket. So whatever relationship we're in, it's where we unexpectedly come out and everything goes into upheaval, in some way or another. Or it's our unique qualities where we'll walk into a room and people think that we're, like a little odd or off. But that's where our, we radiate that, and especially in a group like this, because we never fit in. Uranus is where, or we fit in and people like to invite us place because we always know that we're going to shake the basket up and make things a little bit different and exciting. And then we have Neptune, and Neptune is our creative insight, and it's our intuition. It's our psychic abilities. It's our way that we can internally go inside of ourselves and meditate and see how we fit in with the collective. And Pluto is a planet of transformation. It's where we are the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and where we continually are going through the alchemy, the divine alchemy of changing and, like having insights to our programs, looking at them and see what fits and what doesn't fit. And sometimes it drives us to the depth of depths, and we think we're never going to wake up and get out of this rut again. And then we keep working and working and working, and then we transform it, and then we become gold or golden in what we're doing. So getting back to Mercury retrograde. I'm going to give you we're going to get to everybody's Mercury. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But Mercury this year is all about communication. And depending on what sign it's in, is the way it is communicated. So it's in the earth signs. It's basically communicating, about how we achieve our goals on the planet and how we delve into developing our resources, or how we live our day-to-day habits. And those are the earth signs. Capricorn, being in Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. If it's in the water signs, Mercury communicates through emotions. Through Cancer, it's the nurturer. It wants to nurture you through its communication. And through Scorpio, oftentimes it will stir the pot so that you see the deepest part of yourself, and Mercury, in Scorpio, often it's the grand, my daughter has Mercury in Scorpio, and oftentimes she knows exactly they're so perceptive. They know exactly what my weak spot is, and all she'll do is say one sentence, and I'll melt. But then that melting stage where I have to go, I can have a reaction to it, or I can say, "Oh, what is true about this, and how can I change that?" Because you always have to take it back into yourself. Everything about all this planet, the zodiac is it's all parts of ourselves that we are learning about who we are and how our biosuit operates on this 3D plane, and actually helps us open up to all the other dimensions as well. Mercury and Pisces, they have the ability to go deep inside of themselves and develop, like they have connection with the whole collective consciousness, but they have great intuition, and they have intuitional flashes. And probably the most challenging part about Mercury in Pisces is that sometimes they're so connected with the collective that sometimes the collective overpowers them. So they need a lot of alone time to kind of like decide who they are and who they're not. And if it's their thinking, or if it's everybody thinking around them. But they are very, very intuitive. So then we have the fire signs. Those are the ones that inspire us. So Mercury in Aries has the ability to speak what's on their mind. Like they blurt things out. They're very impulsive, but they can also say things to open up your soul. They are the connectors of inspiring people to their soul purpose and communicating their soul purpose. That's the highest part of Mercury in Aries. And then we have Mercury in Leo. They are the actors and the actresses. When they tell their stories, they're great storytellers. Now they can be also egotistical, but they can also be great storytellers, and you learn from the stories that they're telling you. And it's, and they're also very creative. I mean, they're the artists, and through their artwork, communicating through their artwork, or their stories, or their songs, or their whatever they're acting out. That's how we learn. And then we have Mercury and Sagittarius. Mercury and Sagittarius are the people that tell the truth. They usually blurt out things before they speak. So Mercury in Sagittarius, they tell the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts. That they're because they're telling what they believe within themselves, and sometimes all the fire signs often leap and say things before they really think about it. So then let me see, what did I miss? I missed the water. Let's see, we have air, we have earth, water.
You need air.
Air, yes, air. Okay. Then we have Mercury and Gemini. Mercury and Gemini is very diverse. They collectors of information, and they communicate because they have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But sometimes they can be just too all over the place because they can't concentrate. They have so much going through their mind that that you can never depend on what they're going to say, you know, that type of thing. Mercury and Gemini. No, let's see, what else is Mercury and Gemini? Mercury and Gemini, just I think somebody has their they don't have their muting sign on. So if anybody if you notice that you're not muted, please turn off your. Okay, I think I just stopped. Okay, then we have Mercury and Libra. Libra, they like to see both sides of the situation all the time. They weigh things out, and sometimes they weigh things out too much. Like they can see this side of the situation, they can see this side of the situation, and they can never make a decision about what is right and what is wrong because they want to, you know, be everybody's friend. You know, they don't want to offend this person or that person. And their biggest quality is weighing out the situation. And then they have Mercury and Aquarius. And Mercury and Aquarius, their challenging point is they will tell you that they know everything, you know, but they also have a contribution of bringing a unique perspective into the mix. So those are all, you know, so, and they like to harmonize humanity by their insights, and they're communicating through, they communicate through unique thoughts that come to them. They actually bring that to the forefront all the time, their unique individuality. So those are kind of Mercury through the signs. Now, what does Mercury retrograde means? Okay, we have our sun, and all the planets travel around the sun. They make their journey around the sun. I think Mercury goes around the sun every 88 days, but not quite, because it retrograde. It looks like it's going retrograde. And what is retrograde motion? Okay, we're on the planet Earth. We're the third planet from the sun. So some of the planets before us go faster, but then it looks like we pass them up, and it looks like they have backward motion. And that backward motion is retrograde motion. So any time a planet is in retrograde motion, it's always in review. It's always a time, whatever sign it is in, to review what's going on in that particular sign. So I am going to give you the times that Mercury is going to go retrograde this year. And it's been retrograde in Capricorn. So what does that mean? It's been retrograde since December 29th of last year, and it's going to go direct in 2 days. So what has Mercury in Capricorn mean to everybody around us? So if it has any delays, it means that when is something delayed, we have to look at our integrity of what we're doing in the moment. So if something isn't going quite right and we make plans to do something and it's delayed or it's changed or it's interrupted, with Mercury in Capricorn, it probably drives us crazy because we want everything. We want to be control freaks. We want to control the situation. So when things aren't working out with Mercury in Capricorn, it means, where are we being control freaks? And where do we have to be patient? And where do we have to review ourselves? And what do we have to look at that's out of integrity with the moment? So I don't know if any of you have been feeling that way since December 29, but it just means, are you in right relationship with what you are going for? And if it's delayed, it just shows you what you have to review. I have some good words for that. I wrote this down here. So the period of delays And revising isn't meant to frustrate us. It's meant to filter out what doesn't serve us. So if in the last few weeks, things aren't working out, we have to take it inside of ourselves and say, what is not serving us? And how come it's not serving us? It puts us into review of how we should maybe look at things a little bit different way and not to be try to be so much in control of what the situation is. So even though Mercury's going to go direct in 2 days, that doesn't mean we're out of the retrograde yet. It's going to take a few days because it goes through kind of like a shadow. It's like kind of pre-retrograde, retrograde, and post-retrograde. So we just can't ease out of it and start making decisions, and thinking that we're out of the retrograde. We're going to have a little bit of backlash right there. So then the next Mercury retrograde is going to be April 21st to May 14th. Now, the only reason I'm giving you these dates is so maybe you can make plans and know when it's there. It's like forewarned is forearmed. And it's going to be Mercury retrograde in the sign of Taurus. So what does that mean? It means that we are going to reevaluate what we value. It's going to, let's see. It's going to help us look at our value system. And let's see, it's written down. It's where what do we really want to manifest? And if something isn't working out right, is that what we want to manifest, or is it something else? It's making us reevaluate how, like what our financial systems is. And what is our financial system? That is what our assets. And our assets can be money, but it can also be what we're creating. And with us in light body, if things are working out, what are we doing to help manifest our soul growth? And so that time period is going to help us look at and see if what we're doing is feeding us, is helping us create something that is beneficial for us, to give us value in some way or another. Okay, the next retrograde coming up after that this year is going to be August 23rd to September 15th. And that Mercury is going to retrograde in Virgo. So what it's going to make us focus on is our day-to-day habits. How do we live our day-to-day lives? What do we put in our mouth? What kind of foods do we eat? How do we run our household? How do we interact with each other? And are we always critical, or are we self-critical? So it helps us, but it puts us in a mode of critiquing how we live our day-to-day lives. And if something isn't working out in our households or what we do, like if we're on a particular food plan and we always get indigestion, or if we're on a food plan and we're feeling great about ourselves, we're on the right plan. But if something starts flaring up within us, we get to look at that and see if it's right for us. Even though maybe guides say this is the most excellent diet to be on, it may not work for us. So we have to critique that and see what we're doing. Like critique how we're interacting with other people in our day-to-day lives. If people are always reacting to us when we're driving the car, and they're honking the horn all the time. Why are they doing this? What are we doing to not take action and do something a little bit different? So it's all about the mundane and how we are working with that in our everyday lives. So that's going to be Mercury and Virgo. And you can also, to get more insight, just go to Google and type in Mercury in Virgo, and it will give you or Mercury in Taurus. It will probably give you more mundane reasons, but what you do is you kind of like transform it into what we're doing in light body and how we're interacting. So then the last Mercury retrograde this year is going to be in Capricorn again, but it's also going to retrograde back into Sagittarius. So it's going to have a bunch of other, like it's going to be from December 13th to January 1st. And Mercury's going to be in Capricorn, and it's going to retrograde all the way back into Sagittarius again. So again, it's going to be about our integrity and what is the truth of our integrity. How are our belief systems being challenged, and how are we communicating, our belief systems, and if people are having reaction to what we're saying, take it inside of ourselves and saying, is this true to what I want to be communicating? Do I have true integrity with what this means? So those are the Mercury retrogrades this year. I just know that it's a time of looking within ourselves and assimilating these particular energies, whether it's Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, and that's this year. Every year, the Mercury is retrograde in a different sign. And it's usually a 2-week period of delays in some way or another. So, Susan, back to your question. Mercury in Aries often is a person who, when they communicate, sometimes they can be impulsive with what they say, but they also have the capacity to communicate at a very deep soul level. What they communicate gives people to understand what they're saying and connect with their soul in some way or another. So like sometimes when you say something, people will go, aha, I feel that, I understand that. They resonate with that. So, but it also can be impetuous what you say. You'll talk out loud, and it can be rashly, and then you'll say, oh my God, I should have thought before I spoke. Mercury in Cancer can be over emotional. So when they communicate, they can be over emotional. They can be like, they can cry at the drop of the hat, but they can also be extremely nurturing. And they can come up to you and, put their arm around you, and they're communicating through their holding you. But they also can be like I say, very over emotional or reactive or defensive. The challenging part for Mercury and Cancer is defensive. Like, I really meant to say this, or I really meant to say that. And don't you understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to communicate, and that type of thing. But they can also say, oh my God, I hear what you're saying, and I can identify with what that is. So you can be that nurturing mother. You can be very mothering with that, or overly motherly, so.
Or chicken little, like my brother would call me, Chicken Little.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's so.
But I know the 2 signs that have, well, I think all of them have their good memory and way, but I know that Mercury in Capricorn oftentimes can hear the grass growing and communicate the grass growing. They can understand the intricate detail of exactly that. They can see things that other people can't see, and they can point that out because that gives them the capacity to create something that other people can't see. So there's different levels of Mercury. Mercury in Gemini collects. They're very diverse. Mercury in Virgo assimilates. Mercury in Scorpio transmutes. Mercury in Aries can express connection of the personality to their higher self. Mercury in Capricorn uses their communication to build. Mercury in Aquarius likes to interject unique qualities and unique insights to things. Mercury in Pisces feels at a very deep collective level and therefore has deep compassion. Mercury in Taurus likes to communicate what's valuable to them and what they have learned. Mercury in Leo, they like to bring creative expression to what they want to communicate. Mercury in Leo, again, is always trying to balance out and see two sides of the situation. Mercury in Sag, they always want to get to the truth of the matter, and they usually are, whether they know the truth or not, they feel like they're expressing the truth. Let's see, who do I love? Mercury in Cancer wants to feel safe. No matter what they want to do, they want a sense of safeness. So whether they're being overly emotional or whether they are bringing safeness to another person. So communication that Mercury expresses comes in all levels. It's not about us speaking. It's about what we perceive. We are all being messengers of the gods in our own unique way. And we all have our ways of expressing that. And that's the unique thing about Mercury. And that's what basically one of the chart that I did for tonight is abundance made possible by human togetherness and communication. So all of us are communicating and we're giving the abundance of what we know, and we are trying to communicate at the very highest level that we can. That's what we're working for. And knowing that we've been programmed to be reactive versus taking it inside of ourselves and looking at it from all directions on a mental level, on an emotional level, on a collective level, and seeing if it works anymore and if it doesn't work. So I hope that that kind of encompasses everything. And then tonight, the chart that we had, it's just acquiring a vaster perspective of what we were able to do. And so Mercury is just like giving us insight of how we want to communicate. And like I said, it's either reactive or more compassionate and listening and hearing and coming from our heart center. But if we can master our communication in the 3D plane, if we can master that, it's opening us up to other dimensions. It's opening us up to our sacred geometry. It's opening us up to love and compassion. It's opening up our ears so we can hear the music of the spheres, or the music of what each and every one of us is really saying. And even if we don't like what that other person is saying, we can take it inside of ourselves, assimilate it, change it around, transform it, transmute it, and bring it to a soul level, and know that that person is communicating the best that they can in this moment in time, and not taking it personally. You know, I keep on referring to the 4 agreements, but I'm really trying to practice it. And I even have my daughter, she's talking about the 4 agreements lately, and she had a reaction to somebody that was saying something to her, and she goes, oh, I'm trying really not to take this personally, but oh my God, what do you do in that particular situation? What the 4 agreements are, you know, be impeccable with your word. And that's to yourself or to other people. You know, oftentimes I have a Virgo ascendant. I'm very self-critical. I'm never like there's always something I can do better. There's always something that, I'm very, very, hard on myself, but that's not being impeccable. But it takes it to the fourth one of doing the best that you can and knowing that you're doing the best that you can in any moment, and not to take things personally and not to make assumptions. I mean, just to listen to what someone is saying and being there and being behind our eyes, what we are learning, and being in there and just holding space and just listening to what they are, whether we're coming from our emotion level, whether we're coming from our intellectual level, whether we're coming from a very down to earth level. All of us are coming, or whether we're coming from passion, but it's becoming behind our eyes, and each of us are expressing our communication in all different ways. So Mercury, believe it or not, is one of the sacred planets, but it's also, each of the planets, a sacred planet means that they are a very high level planet. Earth is becoming sacred as we speak because we are upgrading to a level of our multidimensional selves. And, in sacred means more or less, everything is always upgrading, but Earth right now, what we are doing is we're upgrading it to a level to become, let's see, what would the word, I maybe I've lost words for it. Humanity is coming to its level of understanding its purpose for the first time ever. We are developing a genome that we have never, ever, we are not developing, we are waking up to that part of ourselves that we have never woken up before. And as we do this, the radiance from our Pachamama is going to be so outstandingly brilliant that we can't even imagine. But we, as way showers, are doing that as we speak right now. We have the capacity to do that.